Yes. Okay. We are recording now. All right, here we go. So, hi again, everyone, and thanks so much for having me. My name is Teddy Stark. I am the Watershed Forestry Program Manager with DCNR Bureau of Forestry. I was invited here to present today by Blair County Conservation District, so thank you all so much for having me. And we are excited to talk about riparian forest buffers and their benefits. Okay. So at one time, vast forests covered the entire state of Pennsylvania. In the early days of Penn's Woods, streams ran clear of sediment even after a rainstorm. They did not look like they do now sometimes, flowing with chocolate milk as we often see after big storms. Brook trout were abundant in nearly every single small stream, and underground aquifers were naturally charged, full of clean drinking water, even though we weren't using it for that yet. Why were the streams and rivers and groundwater so much healthier when forests covered the state? Quite frankly, because streams need trees. Our aquatic ecosystems in Pennsylvania were adapted in a forested environment. Tree canopy, or the big leafy tops of trees, help intercept some of the rain, keeping it from disturbing the forest floor and the soil. The rain that does fall to the forest floor is able to percolate through loose forest soil, recharging groundwater supplies. And excess water in the soil is taken up by plant roots. Amazingly, large trees can take up an incredible amount of water in the right conditions. One large tree can soak up as much as a ton, or 240 gallons of water each day. So just think of the benefits a mature forest buffer can have in the right conditions. Now that humans inhabit Pennsylvania, we need to have agricultural lands to grow our food, urban centers in which to conduct our business, homes in which to live, and of course, roads to drive between all of these places. But it's still important that we have clean water to drink, as all of our life and all of the life on planet Earth depends on it. We can ensure that streams are able to flow with clean water by keeping or replanting critical forest areas, especially alongside streams. You will often hear these critical zones referred to as streamside forests or riparian forest buffers. If we do our best through our human business away from our direct stream sides, we can reap the many benefits of riparian forest buffers. The word riparian simply refers to the area immediately adjacent to a stream or a river. And forests buffer those streams from pollutants that would wash off of the land otherwise. So that's it. That's where the term riparian forest buffer comes from. And that's what we mean when we say riparian forest buffer. Sometimes you'll hear us say streamside buffer, which means the same thing. Studies have shown us that when we have at least 70% of a stream's watershed buffered, then we have the healthiest streams there. So that's why buffers are so important. Streams didn't originally develop in Pennsylvania flowing through farm fields, housing developments, or alongside busy city streets. Streams are healthiest when they are surrounded by forests. Many animals that live in streams depend on the surrounding forest for food and habitat, just like forest animals also need healthy drinking water, and they use the streams for that. Our ancestors in their time perhaps didn't realize the importance of forest buffers when they cleared them. Now that we know better, we can work to replant forest buffers for the good of the environment and for our own health and well-being. Now that we realize how important riparian forest buffers are for our health, for nature protection, and for pollution control, we're working with partners across Pennsylvania, like Blair County Conservation District, to plant more riparian forest buffers. Pennsylvania is very invested in riparian forest buffers because planting streamside trees is one of the most cost-effective ways we can clean up our waterways and the water that we all drink. We hope to plant 95,000 new acres of forest buffers in Pennsylvania across the state. As I mentioned, one of the primary benefits of riparian forest buffers is cleaning up polluted waterways. Stream channels should be naturally wide and shallow. Not only does this give water more places to go during large rainstorm events because it can spread out across that wide stream channel, it also provides more area for aquatic life to live. So macroinvertebrates, which are the stream bugs and other critters that live in our streams, need stones and rocks clear of mud and sediment on the bottom of the streams because that's how they survive. That's where they live. The wider and cleaner the stream is, the more good that can come from the stream, the more area we have for the good bugs to live. And the more good bugs we have, the more they can help pull out pollutants that are already in the water. They do this because as our trees, the forest trees that are planted next to the streams, let their native leaf litter kind of fall into the waterways, The bugs are able to eat the leaves and eat the algae that is on the leaves. That means that there are a more abundant bug populations. They feed trout, and they also, through that food cycle and food web, remove nitrogen and phosphorus from the water that might already be in there. So by planting a riparian forest buffer, you are not only doing your part to keep pollutants from your property from entering the stream, but you are also making up for any upstream problems as well. Another huge benefit of riparian forest buffers are the opportunities they provide for conserving wildlife. Like I talked about before, streamside buffers stop too much mud and dirt from eroding into the water, which creates more hospitable environments for fish and aquatic life. The trees and shrubs that make up the riparian buffer also create habitat for birds, reptiles, and amphibians for them to nest and live. The woody debris in streams, being the trees and branches that fall into the water, are often viewed as a nuisance, but when they fall in the right place and aren't causing problems, they are actually incredibly important to the stream ecosystem and create habitat for trout and other fish. Finally, streamside trees also provide winter cover for wildlife and protected travel corridors for wildlife as well. In addition to providing opportunities to conserve wildlife and for wildlife watching, riparian forest buffers also obviously provide great opportunities for hunting and fishing. The shade riparian forest buffers provide to streams helps keep the waters cool for sensitive species like brook trout. Brook trout often need water temperatures that don't go above 70 degrees. So on really hot summer days, having shade from mature forest buffers can help keep those waters cool so trout can continue to live there. Forests also provide food and forage for a variety of animals, including, of course, our white-tailed deer. Pictured here is a hunter with the buck he was able to harvest out of his buffer in Lancaster County. That whole family that has a farm there, the Rohr family, loves the forest buffers they have planted on their farms over the past couple of decades, specifically because they provide such great deer habitat, and they are all avid hunters. Like other wildlife species benefit from buffers, so do pollinators. You've likely heard of the struggles both our native bees and honeybees have been having recently from colony collapse disorder and other related issues. Luckily, forest buffers provide early season food sources for pollinators as tree flowers are some of the earliest bloomers. Here we have a redbud tree, one of our native species, with a bumblebee. Buffers also provide nesting and overwintering habitat for pollinators, and they can help attract pollinators to crops planted nearby, increasing their pollination rates. As you've probably noticed in the past few years, we've seen increasing heavy storm events in Pennsylvania. Many landowners have struggled to keep their streams under control during these high water situations, losing ground and crops from flooding. Thankfully, once the mature forest buffers are there and they kind of grow up, they give floodwaters a place to spread out that isn't damaging other property. They reduce the damage that could occur from flooding otherwise. Tree roots also help prevent some of the erosion that can happen in these high water events. And they help retain floodwaters within the forested area so there isn't more water rushing downstream, causing bigger flooding there. Fields, crops, and other property experience less damage during high water events with protection from riparian forest buffers. This is not to say that planting a buffer today will protect your stream tomorrow. They do need time to mature before you can reap the full benefits, but they do help and can help with flooding issues as they increase long term. Earlier, I mentioned that forest buffers can help our drinking water. All the water we have here on planet Earth moves throughout the water cycle. As water goes from streams to oceans to clouds and back into the ground, it can be impacted by pollution on the land. Rainwater can pick up sediment and carry that pollution or carry that and other associated pollution into our streams and rivers. If rainwater flows over the land too quickly, it isn't able to properly filter through the earth and recharge aquifers that supply individual wells and public drinking water. Riparian forest buffers help with this as they give rainwater, the runoff associated with it, a chance to filter into the ground before it rushes away into streams. Through filtering in the ground, the aquifers are recharged, and this helps ensure we all have a good drinking water supply. Buffers also protect the soil from raindrop impact because the leaf litter that covers the bare ground from the trees kind of protects that soil there. It helps to minimize any associated erosion and keeps that sediment out of the water further. Tree roots also increase the ability of the soil to absorb water, letting that water more easily reach those underground aquifers we keep talking about. As streamside buffers keep water from rushing into streams from the land. It also helps keep the stream free of any of those pollutants that would otherwise be washed into the stream. Buffers can also help increase property values. According to the Forest Service, healthy mature trees on a property add an average of 10% to the property value. Other studies have shown that landscaping with trees specifically increases property values as much as 20%. Further, in simulations and labs, research has shown that exposure to settings with trees produces a significant stress recovery result. So not only will our properties be more highly valued if we plant streamside buffers there, we'll also get to feel better while we're living on our properties too. If you are a livestock farmer, streamside buffers can also help improve the health of your herd. When combined with stream bank fencing, buffers can help keep cattle and other livestock out of the water. This reduces the number of pathogens in the water and also reduces your animal's exposure to those pathogens. It can remove calving risks associated with being near or in waterways or near steep stream banks. Often, the cost of stream bank fencing is covered if your buffer is planted through one of many funding programs available, like CREP and many other programs as well. Planting forests can also help protect your legacy as a steward of your land and your property. It's the neighborly thing to do. There is a saying in watershed work, which is we all live downstream, meaning we are each impacted by what our neighbors are doing on their properties, as water doesn't necessarily respect property boundaries. If we are good to the streams and rivers that flow through our land, our downstream neighbors will benefit too. Don't we all wish our upstream neighbors treated their streamside property well so we could benefit? As we talked about, planting streamside buffers helps protect your property from flood damage, provides recreational opportunities like swimming, fishing, and hunting, and buffers can also serve as a privacy screen, and they can provide shade while you recreate outdoors on a hot summer day and just need a place to kick back and relax for a little while. Overall, we know that planting trees along streams can help protect farms, yards, and our natural areas for future generations. Through planting more buffers in Pennsylvania, we aim to help ensure future generations can benefit from both productive farmlands as well as healthy natural spaces working together in harmony. That is all. Thank you all so much. My name is Teddy Stark. Again, this is my contact information. You are welcome to reach out anytime. Of course, I'm sure you can also contact Blair County Conservation District with your questions, and if needed, they can put you in touch with me. But we really appreciate you being here today and taking the time. I will stop sharing my screen now and answer any questions that are in the chat.
So you can probably
read
the host as well. Okay, everybody, if you had any questions, feel free to enter them into the chat, or you could also, I believe, you should be able to unmute yourself if you would prefer just to speak directly to Teddy.
Please feel free.
So we'll give a couple minutes here if anybody would like to ask any questions.
And don't forget, as you might have seen in the chat, there is a survey associated with this presentation. So if you could please take a couple minutes just to click that link and complete the survey, that would be wonderful.
Okay, Teddy, I'm not seeing any questions coming in, so I wanted to thank you for presenting with us. Everybody apologize for the technical difficulties we had this morning. Hopefully the next webinar next week, we will get that squared away. So hopefully you can join us the next webinar will be on streamside properties, the common problems and solutions. So we hope to see you all then. Thank you very much for attending, and we hope everybody has a good day. Teddy, if you want to go ahead.